Okay. And it's Inane Blather. It's episode 122. We're flying by the seat of our pants, which is the best way to fly, in my opinion. But it doesn't give you very much lift. I don't know where I'm going with that.
It doesn't give you very much lift. Is this thing on?
Hey.
Is this thing on? Yeah.
Hey. Tough crowd. We've got
Yeah.
we've got our guest
Say
back
the F
again
F
for
slur,
more
DANAE.
torture. DANAE. And
I was just gonna say the only way to fly is by the seat of your pants, I think.
oh, okay, yeah.
Now that's the first goddamn thing you've ever said that made one piece of fucking sense.
Okay. That was kind of rude, but it's also the first thing you said on the episode so far, so it can make sense. But Danae's here to tell all of our listeners to
Shut the hell up, bitch.
and listen closely because we've got important things to say. You know,
Everybody's telling us to stop doing what we're trying to do.
but we're going to say
So forget about it, cuz.
because at the end of the day, we're all just...
Headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
Okay, so...
Amen.
You know, I brought it up to you, Danae, before you came on the show. And you've got something to answer for here.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm just kidding. No, it was just funny. I was gonna see if you had any Thanksgiving stories, but you didn't do a big Thanksgiving thing, right? And then Natalie and I went to the same Thanksgiving thing. So I don't know if we've got any big stories. Ours went relatively smoothly. And then what did you do?
What?
What'd you say? Nothing?
You're talking to me. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, your name's Danae, right? What?
Yeah. I just, yeah, basically that. No, I was just thinking, I did kind of do something.
Oh.
I ended up Wicked. And
Oh,
me
yeah.
and my friend Krista, we were the only ones in the theater. And it
That's
was
right.
Oh,
Awesome.
nice.
You were the only ones in the theater?
I saw
Yeah,
that on your Insta.
it was the best.
Oh,
It was the
that's
best.
sweet. Because it was on
highly
Thanksgiving
recommend.
Day.
Yeah, and no one was singing, so I got to like actually enjoy my time.
Yes.
I was really worried that was gonna happen, because normally I would be the one singing, but I was really trying to be immersed. So it worked. It
Well,
was
you
great.
could, because you were the only one in the
Yeah.
theater.
I could have,
And you've got a
so
great voice.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
I did enjoy myself, and I cheered very loudly in certain parts. So,
Cool.
Awesome.
without any shame. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you recommend 10 out of 10?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. If I felt something the first time in a long time. So,
Nice.
Aw.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's gonna be like great singing and stuff. If you like musicals, I'm sure like listening to Ariana Grande is
It was
too
like
bad.
the
I
Tin Man
personally
getting a
really like
heart
her,
or
but-
something. Is that like in the? Is that something
yeah,
like that?
basically.
No.
I mean, Cynthia Erivo, I think is how you say her last name. She's
Mhm.
so incredible. Like
She's Alphaba,
just-
right?
Yeah, just
That's
incredible.
the
Oh.
songs are written for. I mean, like of course, you know, like that's what like on Broadway and all this kind of like the lead roles are given the best parts to sing too, and so you have to be able to really be able to do it. And
Oh,
like
100%.
that's like Idina Menzel was the original Elphaba on Broadway. She's just like
Oh.
Elsa, you know, in Frozen.
Yeah.
She's such an incredible singer. I mean, just like, you know, you really have to. I mean, like I said, I saw Wicked the play with Umberto, and they're like, she's being like hoisted up somehow. They have, you know, some sort of contraption, whatever. Lighting is covering it. It looks like she's literally flying, absolutely belting this song that is a song that's how you have to sing it too. It's really like that takes a certain kind of person to pull those kinds of things off. You have to just really,
the
it's
song,
like there are good
like-
voices, and then there are like Broadway star, like meant for those kind of musical numbers, voices where it's like, God damn, they're so
they're like-
good.
You're like the equivalent of like an ultra marathon runner, not just like a marathoner, but
Mm.
like the 100-mile people is how I
Yeah.
view them. And by the end of their run, I have a feeling that they have straight up just vocal polyps all over them chords because it's insane what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Put on
I
shows
remember
like
even
that night after
watching,
night.
like, no matter whether, if you like, the show or the music or whatever it is.
Doug hates musicals.
Yeah, no, I mean, even watching,
It's fair.
like, Hamilton on Disney Plus or something, and it's just like, Jesus criminy, like, what these people do, it's incredible. Like, the choreography and, 3 hours of this, and, I mean, nailing these performances and belting it out. It's like, there's hardly anything more impressive than that. And so,
Because it's live.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like it's happening like while you're
Well,
watching it.
yeah,
It's
and
like,
the
this
live
is, like,
aspect
no editing,
is
like
good for the audience. I mean, no matter what it is, any live thing is great feeling. Yeah, we were talking about that for something, even something else. I think before Thanksgiving too, but live music or something like that. But then on their end, just I mean the artistic prowess of being able to do something like that is just so impressive. And so for something probably better than Hamilton, I don't know, like Wicked, I would assume. It's pretty cool. No,
they're totally different.
yeah, I know. No, I just try to rub you the wrong way with that one. Hamilton's good. It's fine, but
It's great. I've seen it like 5 times.
but yeah, and then you kept mentioning that piece where she's like, I mean, then the stagecraft itself, she's being lifted up in the air or something, and it matches the song. It's like John Mayer's Gravity or something you were saying, or whatever it is, and sounds like a lot of fun. So
yeah, it's like that really, that John Mayer song where it like really swells up to this fever
Gravity.
pitch, and he's just absolutely belting it out.
Yeah,
Gravity.
Yeah. Some guitar solo or something like that.
Like Sandra Bullock is in there too, I think.
Yep, yeah, with George Clooney. Yeah.
And scene.
Yep, exactly. That's when the director yells cut and there's a curtain call and they all break their legs or something like that. So no, but that's cool.
Something like that.
That
sounds like a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny. Christmas is a lot of people go to the movies on Christmas and there's ones that open on Christmas, but going on Thanksgiving and then just being the only people in there and having an awesome time at the movies is pretty sweet, to be honest. So
and it's nice that they were still open. I was thinking that a lot of times movie theaters will be like, if there aren't enough people, like they might kick you out. Just be like, we don't want to show it because that's like not worth our time. But that's really nice. Well, I guess I won't say it. I won't talk to us at all. Hometown theater. I was just telling,
Danae brought it up last time she was on the show. It's too late.
Well, whatever. Umberto, grew up in LA, and for their 16th birthday, they went to a Jay Leno show, like one of the tapings, and I have reflected on it often, and especially like going back to like, for Thanksgiving and stuff, they came with me. Just what a different experience they've had than going on. Like, we have this show house for a long time, literally one screen at the movie theater for a long time, and some things would come to town, but it's like, what are you gonna have some like weird, like like in LA or like New York or some of these places where people go, it's like these weird one-man shows that are going on that's like part of the culture, and you're able to just be exposed performance art and just different things. A Jay Leno type, obviously, like that's huge type of show, but all of these things that are just around you versus like some of this experience of, it's like very limited, especially pre-internet, it's like a wholly different upbringing.
I don't know. Back at the show house, I remember going and watching Nonsense. So we watched Nonsense. And also like a string quartet play. Every year they had that week where they'd have a different show each night, because they had a stage at the
Yeah,
old theater.
The theater had a.
So there was Nonsense, that long-running comedic show with like men dressed as women, as nuns, and some sort of stage play. And that's all I remember.
I saw
think
Roy
there was
Orbison.
an opera. There was some a cappella group that came through. Remember? And they would beatbox and do a cappella. And then when they opened up a second screen that actually had the, modern cinema seating, we went on like tours. Whoa! Says the biggest Dolby surround sound system in Eastern Washington when it opened up. It was incredible.
Oh yeah.
And now it's just standard.
2 whole screens.
But if you're
Now there's
if
3.
you're in San Francisco or in LA, you could just take a Thursday night, walk down the street, and just see someone's self-financed one-man show completely about their uncle and his story of
He died and when baboons kidnapped and ate him.
and it could just be an interesting afternoon. It could be the best show that you've ever seen. You never know. Very graphic, though. You have to be careful if you're in the front 2 rows. You could be splashed with.
It's called the splash zone.
Yeah. With baboon feces and or human blood. So that didn't happen at Wicked, did it, Danae?
Oh, it didn't. It didn't. No, luckily.
Because he sat far
I was
enough
gonna
back.
say it is for sale these days, and they've cut the price in half since they last
I've
listed.
heard.
Wow.
Beginning of the
Interesting.
year.
I guess I had heard
Yeah.
some stuff went down, not good stuff. Was that from you maybe or Kelsey maybe?
It
told
wasn't.
me?
It wasn't from me. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I
think
know is
Kelsey
I
Dad.
was like,
Yeah.
Dad told me.
instead of trying to buy a house, I guess I could try to buy a theater. At some point,
Yeah.
but
In your hometown, yeah.
and then
You
I'm-
start
and
putting
then
on
I'm
those-
in the hometown. I'm not putting down the roots. I refuse.
How about instead
Because
of
that's the
building a
whole thing.
house, I go in on it with you, and it's the Inane
Yeah.
Blather Show House.
Yeah. How we get a lot of community support there. They
Yeah.
love it. They love being known as the hometown.
And it's just got a big hammer and sickle on the side
Yeah,
of it.
we're the
It's
hometown
illuminated
kids.
constantly.
It's just gonna be a co-op.
Yeah,
Everyone that works there has equal ownership of the whole place.
absolutely.
Profit shares.
But we'll be the only ones that work there, so it's just a
Oh yeah, so that'll be
capitalist
fine.
organization. No. So it's a cooperative. It's
thinking-
owned by the owners. It's the 2 people that bought it.
As
Marcel just
long
keeps
as you
bringing me
clean
his
the
bee.
bathrooms.
Yeah. Well, if it's only us using it.
That's fine.
I was gonna say, oh yeah, and like why you wouldn't want to put roots down there is because there isn't anything for like weird shows and stuff like that because of its tiny town and how the art and a lot of that sort of void is filled by the church and like where like I was in a play in church at the First Baptist Church, a couple times like the Christmas thing.
Christmas play.
Yeah.
There was like
The
not really
nativity?
like we didn't have like a real theater program or anything like that too much. Or it was like there were plays that we put on like through the school, but it was like, not like some
I
other
feel like-
places.
I feel like the community theater that happened died very soon after we left high school. If I'm thinking about it, because remember we had Into the Woods. Then there was
It was
maybe
good.
the
Do you
Wizard of Oz or something.
There was
And,
some
after
some
that-
productions.
Wizard
Yeah,
of Oz was
but
good.
there wasn't like
Died out.
it was like through the school, but not exactly like it wasn't like there wasn't like we didn't have like a drama class or anything at our high school.
Oh, we
Yeah,
did.
we
like
did.
someplace-
We did have a drama class.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I was in it.
yeah.
I was in drama club.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
So we did have high school theater, and then we also had community theater. Into the Woods
Mhm.
was community theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being
That's what- 'cause,
devastated that I didn't get in.
and
But, look
look what
I was
happened.
I was a stepsister.
Look where you are now.
Evil, not ugly stepsister, but me and Krista.
Evil stepped.
Into
So-
the
Oh,
woods.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Into the
Yeah.
Woods.
Okay.
Zach's mom was our evil step.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
Ran into her the
okay.
other day, and it was interesting.
I bet.
Oh. Okay.
I bet.
No,
Yeah.
it
Who
was
was the
just
who was the
interesting.
drama teacher?
This is really.
Christensen.
This is good podcasting.
I never took. Yeah, like we have some sort of standard.
No. But yeah.
Anyways.
Natalie, you were too much of a jock to even know that we had.
I was in jazz
drama
band
class.
and jazz choir. That's what I'm like.
That's what I'm saying. You were too much of a jock. You were like me. You were waking up early, hitting the jazz gym.
I play volleyball and tennis. Yeah, but it just doesn't feel like there was. It just like wasn't. I mean, it's like a small town scene. Anyways, those kinds of things they exist, but it's not like some program where kids are like. Even though there's, I would say, like quite a bit of like musical talent, especially in Othello, because all that time spent singing and playing in church and doing these musicals in church and stuff.
Yeah,
but there wasn't like
the musician from that
like
small
Juilliard
town played in Carnegie Hall because he played in church for and he practiced at home for hours and hours and hours in the LDS church. So. It's like,
you gotta do something to distract yourself.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah. I just, yeah. It just would be different, like going to, I don't know, like the things around you are like in somewhere like LA or New York, especially. These two are like cities that set tones. Like there's Hollywood in LA, or like, I mean, like it's Hollywood. That's like the big like art, which is like commentary of like culture and like all of those things. Like that's where artists are. That's where people are like intentionally creating things that have a commentary on society larger. Though I've heard it's a really super horrible place to like try to make friends and stuff, and everybody's super superficial and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
artists are
celebrities
in New York.
live there, but well, there's that. But there are people that make movies that are films that are beautiful. Like that's where like movies are made.
Entertainment industry for sure.
Sure, it's like that. But then like New York is like that too. Like where there's like just like people like there's a big art scene that's like really. I mean, New York. I don't know. Who can never be sure? That's
who's really mad right now is all of our fans that live in Chicago. Oh man.
I was actually gonna say Chicago next, and I was thinking
if I grew up in Chicago, I think I actually would have gone into stand up at some point, probably.
Yeah, definitely the stand up, the improv scene there, a little bit, some of that. Yeah,
I would have too.
I would.
You would have heard an entirely new take on this. People would have had entirely new forms of booing. They would have had new ways to describe that.
That was, and I don't say this lightly, worse than 100 September 11th.
It would have been amazing.
Well, even in a place like Seattle, which is a small city relative to New York City, or Chicago. There on Saturday, I was going to ask Doug, actually. Doug's coming to visit this weekend and going to go see. There's an open mic comedy at this bar we've gone to a couple times because our friend is like a karaoke jockey, a KJ. The Shanghai Room, I'll just say it. Who cares? It's in Seattle.
Come check it out.
Not where I live, but on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, they do open mic comedy, and a couple people. We were just there for karaoke the other night, and a couple people were saying they've been there, and it's like, I mean, people get up and do it, and it's hard to watch or whatever. I mean, it's just like a whole experience, and I'm like, that's what I want from living in the city, is to like go to some fucking weird one-man show that people like putting themselves out there. I have been to some stand-up comedy actually with a friend, and it is like, it's like a whole experience. Or I said I wanted to read some poetry I wrote like these last couple months, and one of my friends was like, "Oh, this place does an open mic," and she's like, "I did it, and it felt really cool to do." She's like, "You don't really get much from the audience, kind of just like not whatever. It's like some of these things like out of a movie, like out of Hollywood." No, but really like just an interesting
My life
experience
a movie,
that you
but
can have. Yeah,
it only a movie.
But it only a movie. Yeah. So, anyways, I have a bit that I'm trying to work on. For
just imagine
comedy.
just simple, just small room, just going up, just to get it out there and start doing your thing. Open mic poetry, and everyone's just like, No.
Yeah.
Worst
People would just
nightmare.
be-
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. I did an improv thing here in like a pun sort of stand-up improv thing one time. It was very hard to think of anything to say on the fly.
Yeah.
But it
Well, that's always our go-to
improv is so easy.
thing is improv is so
Yeah.
easy. It's like
Start doing crowd work.
it's like easy.
Yeah.
It's like the easiest.
Yeah, it's like you could just go on and on.
Yeah, especially when they just
Really?
ask the audience to come up with something and you can't even think of something right off the bat.
It's like, just like, give me 4 things.
Yeah. Give me an occupation.
Taxidermist.
They put me on the
What?
spot. They
Good.
weren't even looking at you and you couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. As an audience member,
Bridges.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Gotta be like ready.
Yeah, I come with my improv cues or whatever.
Yeah.
You like
Creativity.
You just bring a
Oh,
group
man,
of
that's what's up.
friends. You bring a group of friends, and you're like, okay, you guys are gonna be my audience.
That's
what you're
would
gonna
be,
say.
Yeah, it's like- yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say, oh, that's what I heard.
You just have
better-
plants.
Yeah, there you go.
That's smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you won't get found out at all. And they support everything that you're doing. They're like, yeah, and they just a bunch of fake canned laughter every time you something.
Yeah.
You're like, you're like, guys, that wasn't the funny one. I'm just setting up. So, let's see. Before just really getting off the rails here, what time are we at here, Natalie? Or are you recording?
23 minutes.
What?
23 minutes.
Ay, ay, ay. Scientists create a strand of pasta 200 times thinner than a human hair.
Well, actually, what I want to say is that, you know what? Maybe unpopular opinion, like Umberto first said when this Hunter Biden pardon happened.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Joe Biden would do that. They'd be like, Umberto was like, if that was my son, I would do it too. You're crazy if you think that you wouldn't. Any sort of parent that had the power to commute a sentence like that
For
it's
his
like,
beautiful boy.
for your son, it's like, what? I'm going to let them go to prison and I don't have to if I don't want to? I don't want to. Why would I want to do that? I feel like it's like what I was thinking was why they want. Do I think that's right or wrong? Whatever. I feel like it's like, whatever. It's just another example of privilege, of extreme privilege. You know, like this is, people get to do this all the time. They're just not the president. Their parents just have a bunch of money.
So
That's
what are
what
you
happens.
talking
People get
about?
away with literal murder. But what I was thinking about was why like Jedis and different ways of what we think about why people should be not married and not have children, because it seems like it gives you clarity, like that you wouldn't have a, like you'd be able
That's
to
why
be
the
more just
Jedis
because
don't
of
have children.
well, that's what I'm just
Those-
thinking about, like why we think about those things like that, like how it makes you more seem like more reasonable because you don't have
Emotional
these kinds of
attachments.
attachments. Because of course you're like, how can I like, what a choice, you know,
Mhm.
to have to, if you have the power to do something about it, you're probably gonna want to.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's why Tim Pool is
so
so
what my next
reasonable.
stance, is about you can't have kids and you can't be married if you want to hold a public office. You have to take an oath of
It has to be cat ladies
chastity.
only. Yeah, I'm a senator.
Yeah, exactly.
As
Yeah.
as Senator Padme Amidala would say, you know, that's
I'm
why
not-
she couldn't have attachments, especially
Yeah.
to Anakin Skywalker. That was always her
It was like 10
excuse.
years
Didn't make
ago.
any sense. All right.
I mean, that didn't really work out for her in the end, anyway.
Yeah,
She died.
she's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he became Darth
I-
Vader anyway.
Yeah.
That was an interesting turn, though. I would have liked more of that conversation too, or had been there,
What?
because that's I never really even thought about that, because I've had that exact discussion about Star Wars, where it's just like, what is with that? What is with this weird cult, Jedis, where they're like, yeah, make sure that you don't have They can't. You can't have these attachments. You can't have these natural things. Like you can't like love someone. Like good lord,
That's
like
classic though. That's a superhero. That's like what they say. You can't do that because then you can't be like totally
superheroes.
like moral and just because you care about this person more than you care like you would and you do in these stories and stuff, like sacrifice other people.
Superheroes are
person that you
also
care more about.
individual people that stand on their own to do these things. Jedi
And they're not
are in a
real,
religious
either
order.
of them.
They keep them away from people because they're a fucking cult, and they don't want them to leave this cult of the Force, is what I would say. They have no attachments. They only have attachments to their master and their responsibilities to their Padawan or whatever. They have nowhere else to go unless they want to be completely isolated to everyone else. No, not according to the Jedi. Everyone has the ability to do that. Force is not powers. The Force exists in all living things. It surrounds us, binds us,
and so that makes a lot of
together.
sense as to why some children would be able to do it so easily without even thinking, and then some people just never even realize that it exists. I think that's something called a little bit of power with someone having like a natural inclination towards it. So I would say that's a little bit more like a superhero, that people can't help these things that they have.
Yeah.
And that it's something, and trying to understand, like say, with great power comes what? Great responsibility.
With
That's
great
from
power
Spider-Man.
comes a lot of fun.
A superhero movie, yeah. So just trying to,
but then that's the eugenics George Lucas shit. See, all this bloodline stuff. But maybe that's how it works, though. Maybe it's all eugenics and bloodlines over there in that other galaxy.
It's made up, though. Mostly, I just want to.
Yeah. No. I just love. It's way more fun to talk about made up stuff than the real stuff. Ugh. Way more fun because it's more fun to talk about that, in my opinion, because also my opinion on Joe Biden pardoning Hunter Biden is also, I don't care.
I mean, he's probably not going to be alive for very much longer, so he probably wants to spend time with his son.
Yeah, it just seems like it doesn't really matter.
I've always really kind of felt bad for Hunter Biden, to be honest. And it's like, and doubly so because he's in the kind of position where it's really hard to feel bad for that guy. He's a rich, privileged
white
dickhole.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just seems like, I remember Nick Mullen was talking about it. He's like, the funny thing is, if you read that crazy hit job, The Laptop from Hell, which is funny, was written by New York Post writer Miranda Devine, who we have read on this show before. And he's like, yeah, it goes into all this stuff about, the laptop story, the Hunter Biden laptop, and then it was suppressed, at Twitter, attacking the New York Post and yada, 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 and all the illegal dealings and just all these reaches. But the number one takeaway that he had from reading this just right-wing nut job material, he's like, I just couldn't help but feel bad for Hunter Biden. What a shit life. He's like, this guy's life is just a disaster.
Addicted to drugs.
It's just L after L, and then you can't feel bad for him. And it's like, and no one really shows him love. Like even Joe Biden, it's like, you're only going to get down to the edge. You're going to, if he's finally at the end of his rope, about to jump out of a fucking window on a bender or something like that, eventually Secret Service is going to rush in, pull you from the ledge, and Joe Biden's going to be like, hey, come here, my beautiful boy, and, don't do this, I love you, and then smile to the camera that's behind you and make sure that everyone knows that he's there for you, kind of thing. It was really, I was like, man, it sounds so bleak. It's so gross. And the way that he just lives in this, political machine world. Like, Joe Biden has done nothing but politics for 50 years. It's crazy. And then and then Hunter's whole family just died around him. And so he just got hooked on drugs, starts fucking his brother's widow, like all this stuff. And it's like, and then he's just like,
that, I feel like not a bad thing. I want to say time out really quick
Oh.
and say that seems like the most natural thing to ever start happening between people is for someone that it's like, this is close to this person. Like, I mean, like literally you're like brothers. You remind me so much of this person that I miss so desperately, you know, like, and the closeness and connection you would feel with someone who is also experiencing that level of grief is something that would be like really intimate to be like, oh my God, like that's, you know, his brother and that's her husband. Like, damn, like, wow, I miss him so much. And like the moments of, I could just totally see why that would happen, where it's like so like such a like, oh my God, like clinging to each other, you know, and that,
There's also,
you know, when people are
that's like
attractive.
that's a Hallmark movie, dude. Like that's
hey, it's in the Bible. It's in the
Come
Bible,
on.
Yeah.
actually.
it's probably in the Bible.
It is.
I don't.
It's in the
I
New
believe you.
Testament. When the husband
Never read
passes
it.
away, you know, she can be married to the husband's surviving brother for whatever reason. That's in the Bible.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess that's been a thing for a long time. But well, I mean, that's just a thing. I feel like, yeah, that makes sense. Emotions, especially from the widow's perspective. I don't know. From the recovering alcoholic drug addict brother's perspective, looking at a grieving widow, I don't know. It's kind of a choice, but that's just my opinion.
I completely disagree with that. And I feel like that's so like, that's like you're making him seem so predatory and like undercutting everything that you're saying makes him sympathetic and saying he's also reaching out for this connection.
No, I'm
where
not
he's-
saying predatory.
No,
I'm saying it's like,
well,
it's like
that's
a
what
giving
and I'm
in thing.
talking. I'm saying like what you're saying makes him sympathetic. He's like looking for this connection and there's someone that he knows really well that also understands, like that's not just like her husband, that's like his brother died.
Yeah.
Like, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like
Well, I
it's
mean,
talking about,
it's
like,
not
making
like
a choice, just like it's like you're falling in, like you'd be making a choice to start drinking again, type of thing. Like just you're just doing another thing that just isn't, you know, probably not a good idea, kind of thing, and
I
you're
just
just doing
don't-
that
but
too.
I just-
But yeah, I
I
understand
mean, I
what you
sort of
mean.
disagree with
On the
that being a bad thing to, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think that
but
being
societally,
sexually intimate with
yeah, but
someone is,
societally,
you know.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's not looked upon very well. It's not.
It's
Because
easy
it's like
to-
what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
That
it's
attitude
easy.
is there. So that's what I'm
Exactly,
saying.
yeah.
Not a good attitude to
Easy-
have towards it.
Yeah, easy to sensationalize. I'm like two vulnerable people trauma bonding and like,
Exactly.
you know, hooking up. It makes sense to me.
That's like the most classic human thing to do is like we crave like being understood and all these things. And I
Yeah.
mean, we are big into like physical touch. Like it's so incredibly important, necessary for like our mental well-being. And, you know, that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, Hunter Biden ain't looking too bad. He ain't no slob. His brother is like, you know, probably not too bad either. His wife and all these kinds of things. And you see the, you know, you're already kind of maybe attractive person or whatever. And you can
Mhm.
really see the beauty in someone when you feel close to them too. And just how that translates into like sex sometimes. And then that forms another connection. And it just is like something that can really, you know, it's a beautiful thing to happen between people, I think, you know, when you're really needing some closeness and you can find it with someone like that. I mean, I don't know about maybe it was horrible and maybe they were both just like not having a healthy attitude about it, but I think that that's like
Yeah.
a healthy way to do like that's just frowned upon. It's like it's okay though to need those kinds of connections, you know, and there doesn't have to be some sort of value or whatever sort of placed on it or like some expectation now because of this thing. You don't have to be like, you know,
Yeah,
it's
because if
meaning
they
more
see
than
it,
just like, wow, we really just wow, that was
yeah, if they view it
meaning
the same
for
way
us.
that society views it, it doesn't matter. They're going to frown upon it too. They're going to regret it. So
I mean,
it's not. They're
I
not going
don't
to feel
know.
good about it.
I feel like it's just a little bit just like pearl clutchy to even like who cares? Like why is this why was that even news? You know? that specific
Yeah.
piece.
I mean,
It's like their personal lives, just because they're public people, like, I don't know.
yeah, and like about
Same thing about him smoking
especially
crack,
after
to
the
be honest.
death of his brother. I mean, that's at least illegal. You
Mhm.
know, that's like something
Yeah,
where
like,
it's like you should be getting, not should be, I would say, of course, but by the law, be getting in trouble. But fucking your dead brother's wife is, your own personal relationships that you're handling. Being the president's son and, getting no charges or whatever, a senator's son, I guess, and being a crackhead, it's a little bit different because it's literally against the law. And like, Joe Biden was the guy who like put it into place, this tough on
Yeah.
crime or tough on drugs, whatever,
Yeah, it's
those kinds of
not
things. So
just
that's
the
like, that's the
crackhead.
problem.
It's the fact that it's Joe Biden's son that's the crackhead.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's Joe Biden. Like, that guy, man, what was it on? What it was it R.M. Brown? Who was doing that? Just today I was listening to that. Joe Biden, when he was going over how great the 94 crime bill was, how he was extolling how great it was. The virtues of the fact that he's like, now, thanks to us, if you're caught with less than a size of a quarter, a U.S. quarter, I even have one in my pocket right here. Less than this, mandatory minimum sentence, 5 years in prison. Doesn't matter what the judge says. If you have that much crack cocaine on you, 5 years in prison. Just acting like it's a good thing. Like the way that he's talking, it's like he's expecting an applause break. And that's crazy. And I mean, and even Hunter being like high on crack, it's not even illegal to be high on crack cocaine. It's illegal to possess it. All right. If you're high on crack, you're caught high on crack cocaine. That's not illegal. All right. It's illegal to possess crack cocaine.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's how all drugs are. But pretty much.
Consume it really fast.
Yeah. And it's just like, or if you're like driving on crack cocaine, I'm sure you could be cited with a DWI. But, but I'm sure you'll be driving great. So I'm sure you won't be. No. You'll be hella
and then
focused.
A breathalyzer wouldn't pick it up. I'd be like, sure, I'll do a breathalyzer.
Yeah, I'll do a breathalyzer. They're like, you blew a negative 0.02? How is that? That doesn't make any sense. You have less blood in you. How did that happen? Yeah, some of your blood was replaced with more plasma or something like that. I don't get it. But yeah, and it's like, and all that stuff, I mean, when it comes down to it, all of that stuff, whether, like I'm saying, all of those, because in bringing up like the fucking his dead brother's widow, stuff like that, and drinking, smoking crack, it's because it's all just part of a pattern of being horrifically depressed addict. Because I would say that it's all part of a thing of like reacting to the bad things that are happening in his life in a destructive manner, really. Because no matter what we think about people making intimate connections, or we could talk about that for an hour instead, I mean, that's all well and good, but I doubt that's what he would want to do if he was a sober man and the son of a senator, soon to be president, or vice president at the time, I think, or whatever, whenever it was. I don't know. I didn't keep that up that much with Hunter Biden because, like many people, I'm like, who cares? It's like, he's just a guy. Leave him alone. Good Lord.
Maybe he did something to talk about.
Yeah.
Besides just be a drug addict, which is sad.
Yes.
Regardless of who you are.
It's like, not only, like, it's so sad. He's a rich guy. He's a rich son of a longtime senator. And he's smoking crack. This is sad. He's not even like doing designer drugs and cocaine. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? He's smoking crack and hanging out with whores, like in seedy hotels. He has like a tramp stamp tattoo and he hangs out in Delaware. What is going on here? And it's like, and he's a could be rich, corrupt, good looking guy that we just never hear about. until Joe Biden becomes president, and then they can complain about it, maybe have hearings or whatever, and then Joe Biden pardons him and whatever. It all fades away. But instead, his life just really kind of sucks. It just stinks. Like, and then so he makes some art so that he can have one valid way of maybe making money or making something, and his art just kind of sucks. And it's obviously just a way for Joe to be like, you just make some fucking paintings, so he can do something and make some money that way. He's like, fine, okay, Dad, whatever you say, okay. They just give him, he hands him part of his whole existence is the Bidens and Joe giving him money to pay the bills. They give him the money and then he pays rent at these properties and payments and taxes and the AT&T bills and stuff like that or something like that. That's it's his life. And then he just goes off doing whatever. It's sad. It's my life was in shambles this year. It's I don't know. I still wouldn't take Hunter Biden's life. He was on the board of an international oil company. I don't want that.
Oh yeah. I just looked up his age. He's 54 too.
Yeah.
We're not talking about some young 30-something, whatever. It's kind of crazy. So
I feel like what I'm thinking about is feeling you ever felt sort of aimless in your life, or you don't really know what you want to do or what you're doing, or what is kind of trying to find a purpose or something, just give your life some meaning. And I can just imagine him. It's making me feel bad. Yeah. I mean, giving people the benefit of the doubt, of course. Everybody was once a baby, stupid little Donald Trump as a toddler and all this kind of crap. So Hunter Biden, I'm thinking about him just painting and just in the inside feeling nothing, or feeling shit and feeling such a fucking loser. And I have no idea what should I do with my life? I'm just I have nothing to do. I have no, I don't know. Does he have kids? I don't know what he's got going on with all his stuff, but it just seems so empty. And if you're any way sort of self-aware, which he must be, and that's why he drinks all that alcohol and does all that crack, to kind of not have to think about that shit and just be my life is meaningless, because that's what makes you literally want to throw yourself off a building, and that's sad regardless of who you are, kind of, where it was it's one thing for you to get executed by a mob because you're standing with your principles of racism and whatever. That's not that sad to me. I mean, it can be in a much more abstract way of you were once a baby, I guess, but you really, really chose that.
Yeah.
For you to
chose to stand on the wrong side of history. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. It's to take your own life because you just feel so whatever you feel. Nothing or too much of just really what's the point? It's oh, nobody really deserves to feel like that. I think that's pretty low, and it's pretty, if you're a human and you feel that way and you do that, that had to fucking suck. That's a real bummer.
Yeah.
And a big part,
Obama.
His yeah. This is Obama's fault. That's why. And I mean, you've seen Walk Hard. I mean, a big part of that has got to be just him living a life of hearing in his head, wrong kid died. His brother was the man. He was the next
100%.
Biden. He was the shit, and he died.
Absolutely, survivor's guilt for sure.
Oof, brutal. That's funny.
To move on from this, if that's okay.
No, yeah.
Just slightly.
I was just going to do that. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm a little bit excited about Biden doing this unexpected thing that he said he would never do, because I'm hoping that maybe it'll be the first unexpected
many.
thing
Yeah.
that he said
We
he
got
would
a
never
month.
do.
Yeah.
I really
dementia
hope
Biden.
that he just YOLOs out and is I'm gonna just does. I hope he does a bunch of weird shit. Honestly, I think it would be really great.
That'd be sick.
It would be a wonderful just change in whatever it is that we're doing right now. But
That's a really good point. That's a really good
That would be
point.
so fucking awesome.
He's like, well, I already did this.
He's like, by the way, I'm putting out a bounty on Benjamin Netanyahu. Or something. And we're going to nuke fucking Kentucky. No.
He's like, weed's legal. The minimum wage is $15 an hour. We got healthcare. All your student loans forgiven. You know what?
Yeah.
Supreme Court, 13 spaces now. You know what? 51. I don't care.
Yeah.
He's like, now the Supreme Court, way bigger.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Supreme Court's
like,
packed. Puerto Rico gets representation.
That's a state. Washington, D.C., that's a state. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
They're like, you can't do this. He's like, fucking stop me. He's like, what?
Try it.
The incoming administration's going to do something about this? They're not going to be able to do anything. They're coming in to cut government bureaucracy. You think they're going to be able to stop anything? If he just sets all... If only, DANAE. If only you were there.
I can dream.
If only you were there to put it in their ears. They just set all of these just open mousetraps everywhere. Just complete constitutional crises, just as far as the eye can see, so that some of them just stay put. It's like they couldn't deal with them all. They got people like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in charge coming in. They got Linda McMahon heading a department. They're not going to be able to deal with this crap.
We really just need someone to go into Biden's office and just tell him these things and make it seem like it's his idea.
Inception.
And then, yeah, basically, we need Leonardo to do that for us.
Yeah.
Probably.
If anyone could do it, he could. It doesn't even matter if he was in the movie or not. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, tell him it's some sort of medical procedure, and then they actually hook him up to some machine, like it's Inception. And he zonks out. And then Leonardo
put in his, like,
DiCaprio,
sleep machine at night.
Yeah, puts on the acting performance of his life. Comes out full makeup.
As Joe Biden.
He's Joe Biden. Comes out, calls a press conference. And then, as Joe Biden, after all these things are said, turns around and walks away into the Amazon rainforest.
Into the jungle.
Never to come back. That was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. I don't know why that's up there with Natalie, with your thing with the
I formally
apologize. That and him just finishing his speech and just turning around and walking straight into a jungle without looking back, without saying anything else. Oh my God. It was so funny. So, I've got something from this dumb idiot that's not on the New York Post that started coming up on Blue Sky that I saw we could read. Or I've got, am I the asshole for telling my husband that I'm done with his help around the house? What do you think?
What?
I think, without knowing any context, not the asshole. And I would love to hear the first one at the same time. Can we do both?
Okay.
Time for both?
So let's see. Am I the asshole? My husband, 34, and I, 31 female, have been together for 8 years and married for 5. We both work full-time, so we've always split household chores. But here's the thing. His version of helping is a nightmare. For example, I'll ask him to help with laundry. He'll agree, but instead of sorting things like delicates or checking pockets, he just throws everything into the washer on one setting. This has ruined clothes and stained things beyond repair. Same thing happens in the kitchen. He helps by making a mess while cooking, but he leaves everything piled up in the sink and somehow manages to dirty every dish and pan.
I hope you get ass cancer and die, you son of a bitch.
I've tried teaching him, suggesting easier ways, even leaving little checklists, but he always says he knows what he's doing and dismisses my advice. I end up spending double the time either fixing what he did or doing things over from scratch. And whenever I bring it up, he says he's trying his best or accuses me of being too picky and controlling. This came to a head recently when he helped me by cleaning up our living room right before my friends came over. I thought he'd done a great job. Until one of my friends found my birth control pills in the junk drawer because he decided to tidy by throwing everything in random places. I was embarrassed, but when I told him, he laughed it off. So last night, I told him I'm done with his help and would rather just do everything myself if he's not willing to do things properly. He got upset, saying he's just trying to make things easier for me, and now I'm criticizing him for helping. Now he's barely speaking to me, and I'm feeling conflicted. Am I the asshole for telling my husband to stop helping if he can't do things right? How do you approach
Straight
it?
to jail.
Straight to jail.
Straight to
Believe
jail.
it or not,
Fuck that guy.
straight to jail.
Yeah,
That's called weaponized
divorce.
incompetence.
Yeah.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Natalie and I are just waiting. We're both like,
Oh
weaponized
my god! I'm
incompetence.
like,
well,
it's like if I wanted a kid, I'd have a fucking kid. You know why you let your kids do fucking stuff in the kitchen, even though they put flour everywhere and make a mess? Because they'll fucking learn. And
Yeah.
it's like it's okay.
Because
I have
that's
to clean up.
fun.
It won't always be like this. You know what? With my husband, it's like I always got to just go back and do twice the work because he's a fucking child that won't learn how to do it better. Fuck that. Don't ask me to have lower standards for my household. Fuck you.
I already have a dog that I cannot train. Like, I would not.
Mm-hmm.
No.
No way.
Well, see,
Absolutely not.
But I would say not. I can imagine how she approached it too was to be probably pretty nice for the most part about like feedback and like trying not to be
it's
a
been
bitch
a while,
about like.
sounds like.
But and you know like but it's more like, well, if you could do it this way, that'd be great, instead of being like, babe, it grosses me out that you leave it like this. Like, I find it to be that you seem like a dude. And honestly, I think that you should want more for yourself because I know I do. I want my house to be clean. And what that means is things are actually clean. I get my clothes. They last a long time because I take care of them. Like, this is what being an adult looks
Better
like.
for us.
Not, and not saying like, if you did it this way, or here's a checklist to do. It's like saying you're like, no, you're doing this wrong. And like, you have to do it better. Otherwise, honestly, you're kind of pathetic, and you're kind of exactly the kind of guy that women complain about all the time. And eventually we leave because you're not worth the fucking effort. You think that whatever kind of orgasms you're giving me is enough to make up for me doing literally all of the fucking housework? You're out of your goddamn mind.
You're not a Hitachi.
There is no sex that good.
I love that you assume that there are even orgasms happening.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's very.
If a guy's throwing birth control pills in the fucking junk drawer, he's not pulling that shit off. There's no way.
Sorry, you need to take those at the same time every day. You can't lose those.
Yeah,
That's not.
Yeah, she's not even taking them. You know.
Yeah, that was being really nice of me to assume that. I'm gonna shut the door here. Umberto just got home, and I'm thinking about how, oh my gosh, what a great partner I have. Actually.
Yeah,
that they're totally. Yeah, it's when it's what it's and why it makes me so mad, because it's like I would know how that is and how like it does not have to be that way. Just because your partner was born with a penis doesn't mean you can't expect them to know how to clean a house or do their fucking laundry or keep things clean or think about anything beyond what they're doing like in the moment, like, I'll just put this in this drawer.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to be like that.
Drives
so
me
many
insane.
Guys, the bar is in fucking hell for these men. It's so pathetic. None of this woman's women friends are like that. Like, that's the thing. It's like none of my friends would be so just like pathetic losers in that way to their partners, where it's just like, oh, I don't know what happened to your heart medication. I put it somewhere.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't know.
Whatever.
You told me to tidy up, so I put stuff away. Fucking find it. No, and that's
stop being such a bitch.
And the funny thing, oh, go ahead.
Like, I would also be like wanting to have words with his mother. Like,
yeah,
you didn't teach this man how to do the laundry.
Mm-hmm.
Are you for real?
Truly.
Yeah. And that's a funny thing too. Like, not at all to be like a pick me, because it shouldn't. I don't think it's like that. It's like, I am certainly not like that because I'm a divorced man. I have to do this stuff. Like, I live on my own. I take care of a kid. Like, I mean, it's just on weekends now. Sometimes it gets a little messy in here. But it's just like, I have to do laundry. I have to clean. I have to cook meals every day. It's just like, you have to do this stuff. So it's like insane to me that there are so many men that literally can't do this stuff, because it's like, what are you going to do? It's like 50% of marriages end in divorce. What are you going to do? Are you literally going to have your mom do your clothes? And some of these guys do. It's crazy.
I'm of the opinion that a lot of the times these guys end up just dating serially. Like, they go from one, like, they leave a long-term relationship, they end up immediately in the next long-term relationship, and just like they find their next mom to take care of them.
Horrible.
Basically. Like, at least, I mean, that's been my experience.
And if they're like
is
nice
such a
enough,
good word for it, Natalie.
The bar is so low that if you're like kind of a nice guy or whatever, I would say, and this is like all generally speaking, it's like you're gonna get a lot of chances from, you know, these people in your life, because women are really caring, and that's what keeps us in relationships with fucking losers like you, is because we can see that, oh, you're like all these great things about you, and if you just like get better, you know, and I can fix you, and I just want to give you the opportunity to do this, and you're just such a fucking loser. And because truly, it's like, what do you bring to the table here? A big paycheck? To quote the great Shania Twain, that don't impress me much, because legitimately, it does not. I'm like, you don't work harder than me, so I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
And even if you did, I don't fucking care. That's
not if you're doing all the housework. Don't work harder
it's
than
like
me.
For your paycheck, you know, like, it's like, some people just get paid more, and that's the way that it is, and it's not a fair system, and I think we all can appreciate that. If that's the biggest thing that you're bringing, you have nothing, because
it's like,
we all have to
any
have
day
jobs,
now,
you know?
that paycheck is going to get erased by an AI program, and I'm going to be the one still doing the fucking laundry. But no, one thing that I thought was interesting about this one, though, because of course, like you guys, immediately, first thing is like, oh my God, weaponized incompetence. But so often, weaponized incompetence is a thing to get out of doing these things. And it's like, this is almost weaponized only to like get to her. It's like weaponized just to hurt her feelings or to manipulate her, because it's like he still wants to use it to do this stuff. He's like, no, you're being too, no, I'm trying to help. He still wants to hold that power of being like, I'm trying to help. No, I don't want you to do it all yourself. I want to do it. And like, it's because really strange. Instead of like, oh, I guess you should do it all yourself. I guess I don't do it well. That's like classic weaponized incompetence. Oh, I guess I just don't do it right.
You know what it is, though? It's misogyny. It's because he doesn't believe that she knows what she's fucking talking about. Like, he doesn't care. He doesn't respect her.
True.
He doesn't really care about what she wants. And I would say, because it's like comes down to like this housework type of stuff, it's stuff that is brushed off as like,
it doesn't matter
like
anyway.
Easy. It's not work. It's not work, you know, so anybody can fucking do it. You know, like that. It's like, you know, it's not that big of a deal. And it's like, motherfucker, if you want to have nice things and a nice home and like all that, that's what it takes. It's not just like grabbing your crumbled up laundry into a ball and throwing it into the washing machine with a belt on and stuff. Like, you know, I mean, it's like takes, you know,
like receipts in the back pocket.
There's like art on the walls, and like things are clean, and like things are like intentional, and like, you know, you go through your domestic space like with intention when you're like making a home. You don't just like throw things, like just take your arm and like scoop everything off the counter into a drawer, because that's not where it goes. It's like
you spend time on Rug Talk on TikTok looking at rugs and figuring out rugs for days at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another Rug Talk. That's what 2 G's, you know?
I mean, it also just like, it really communicates just a full lack of empathy, because like, especially if this woman is like going out of her way to be like, I'm trying to teach you this, Just
How
doesn't
fucking
care.
embarrassing for him. He should be
That's
so like
so embarrassing.
mortified that his wife had to leave him a checklist of things to do, like literally like our parents used to do that for us because we wouldn't know to think because we're selfish teenagers that don't really understand the true scope of what domestic life entails and a home and caring for all of those things because we're fucking 15 or whatever. You're a grown ass man sharing a home with a long-term partner and you can't think of how to keep a home. And also, you get a checklist. Maybe you do some fucking Googling, bro. How about you figure out how to do some of these things?
How often is his fucking phone in his hand when he's doing this stuff, you know?
Or even
And,
just, like,
you know,
try, like,
healthy relationship, that checklist is great. Hey, thank you so much because my ADD keeps me from doing this right. You can do that. I feel accomplished. I do it right. But this is not a healthy part of their relationship, or it's not a healthy relationship.
That's what I would say. You know what? I think Umberto appreciates that I can have, like, I plan things and they like to do things. And it's like, well, and they appreciate and respect me knowing that I have put like thought into this. Like, this is what I'm doing. Like, this is how, like, why our life is kind of like this is because of the effort that I put into. It's like, well, I was thinking about doing this project because, you know, if Doug's coming this weekend, then we want to do the and blah, 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 that I've really put in. It's not just like, I'm not just being a bitch or in any, like, trying to be controlling, like that kind of attitude. Like, oh, you're just being controlling. And it's like,
it's helping. Literally.
Yeah. It's like, I've put in all this effort and said, it's like, I've done all this thought and thought here, like, this is why, you know, this is the checklist. This is even maybe why, if you care to know, why I'd want it done like this. And if someone respects you as a partner, then it, you know, be like, they're not going to be offended by it. They're not going to think it's controlling. They're gonna be like, thanks, you know, that's
Because
like
you
very
both
helpful
want the
for
same
me.
things.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're on the same page and you like care and respect this other person because she's like coming to him and said it. And he has just been like, no, you're wrong about the way you feel. I'm doing it right. And your opinion is pretty much meaningless to me. I'm not going to change literally a single thing or put any more intention to it at all because I just don't believe you.
Well,
Like, I just don't really care about what you're saying or believe you or respect your opinion about this. So
it would also be just so difficult to not notice someone like literally cleaning up after you every time.
Yes.
Like following you around and like, you know.
Either
what you just did,
take offense and so it get brought up, or you'd be embarrassed. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And try to fix something. Either way, something should come up. Like, come on.
100%.
Something should change. Like,
very
obtuse.
See,
I'm curious, were there any updates on that post?
No, not with. Oh wait,
divorce
let's see
his
here.
ass.
I think
Whoever you are,
it did some.
You can do better.
There's a lot in here, so.
Well, we're over an hour right now, just so you know.
Okay, well, yeah, I know that in my relationships, it's just both of us leaving checklists for each other, and then nothing happening, and just everyone's like yelling at us.
Everybody's telling us to stop doing what we're trying to do.
And then dishes are piling up, and then there's all these checklists piling up on top of each other in big stacks on top of the dishes, and it just doesn't work. I don't recommend it, but then we stop the checklists, and then we don't do anything because there's no checklists.
And then you got divorced.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we stay married for 10 years and we get divorced. No. But, darn. Well, then some other time we can read some of the articles that I found someone was posting from this writer, Phoebe Maltz-Bovey, who writes for the Globe and Mail. She's a contributing columnist for the Globe and Mail. Dang, you know, this could go well for next week. Maybe we could have you back on today or something, if you're interested in this. Because there was not just this article that kind of caught my attention, but especially the comments. It kind of drove me crazy until I really figured out
the comment section.
The context here. But it's about giving cash gifts to public school teachers and giving gift cards to your teachers at like Christmas time. I thought it was really odd, But then I looked, and this writer also has just kind of some. She's just kind of a lib writer, and she has some funny takes. I think it got brought up because she had one that really made the rounds on Blue Sky because it's called "The Problem with Blue Sky: It Won't Broaden Our Horizons." And yeah, it's great. It's really great. And everyone on Blue Sky says, "We don't care. We just want to have a good time here.
That's cringe.
Go away."
Yeah.
So, we're not trying to broaden our horizons. We're posting pictures of cats and talking about politics at a base level and being gay and having
making
fun.
jokes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, don't worry about it.
For broadening your horizons, not Twitter.
Yeah,
or
we're
whatever,
blocking
Blue Sky.
fascists as soon as we see them. We don't care. So, anyway. Follow us on Blue Sky. InaneBlather.com takes you right to the Blue Sky page. Or,
pretty clever.
if you have a Blue Sky account, you can go to demodemo.com. Goes right to mine. So, but
Nice.
you have to actually be signed up, and I have to approve you. So, you have to be cool. Anyway, thanks, DANAE. You have anything to plug? You have your comedy special coming out.
I heard, yeah.
It's going to be
But,
playing at the
you
show
got-
house.
on your
It's
Type
called
5.
It's called Nonsense.
I'm actually working on a new verse for that Bo Burnham song, "A Funny Feeling."
Oh.
If you guys are familiar, that's all I've got. I haven't released it yet, though.
What's the verse?
Yeah, you
You
have
gonna
the
debut it
idea
here?
of it. Yeah.
I have the verse. I'm just not gonna release it yet.
Oh, okay. It'll be next week.
Ooh, all right. Yeah.
DANAE has her new comedy special. It's titled
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you
Well,
spell that?
yeah.
Would you just
Ciao.
start killing women?
But okay.
So fun.
Love you,
All right.
everybody.
Shout out to everybody.
And
Except for you.
shout out to RM Brown
What? Our Lord and Savior. Oh, yep.
and
That was a really nice one. Thanks, Inane Blather.
okay. You're welcome, RM Brown.
All right.
Thanks, DANAE.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay.
I guess you don't need my thing, but.